Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a
What's
light
your
on
story?
incredible. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission?
Run the day service program here.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight Sessions. My name is Avital, and I'm the host for today's episode. And today we are speaking with Nicholas Gardner, who is the head of the day service program and communications at Camp Garagona. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are
I'm
you?
doing really well today. Thank you. So why don't we dive right in? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name's Nicholas Gardner, also known as Frosty here at Camp Garagona. And I run the day service program here, which is it's a program for people 21 years and older who are living with a learning disability or who are on the autism spectrum.
Amazing. And why don't you tell us a little bit about Camp Garagona for people who may not be aware?
Sure. So Camp Garagona is it's a nonprofit summer camp for adults living on the autism spectrum or living with a learning disability. And we're also plenty of other things. So we are the day service program. We run a Christmas market. We do respite care. We do parascolaire. In English, it's like after school programs and whatnot. There's all sorts of little fun programs that we do here.
Amazing. And what motivated you to join the team?
Right. So I might not have the same type of spotlight story as some of the other people that you have interviewed. I'm just a person that has a lot of care, I suppose. When I was growing up, my father always told me before leaving school every day to always tell the truth and to always help others. And I just stumbled upon Camp Garagona. It's this small little camp in this small little village in Quebec, and essentially, I um, I stumbled upon it and I applied, and I've been here ever since. I started as a summer camp monitor,
Mhm.
and I kind of made my way up the ladder and from animator of the theater and to now running the day service program.
That's amazing. And how long have you been there?
Yep, so I'm going on 6 years now, I believe.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So in your 6 years almost working at Camp Garagona, has there been one specific memorable moment or story from your time that has a lasting impact on you?
Sure. So I don't think that I can necessarily define one specific moment. I think that when I think about a lasting impact, it makes me think about how little our big problems are as neurotypical human beings. These are people that come to the camp who have been verbally, mentally, physically abused their entire life, and it's crazy as neurotypical people that we choose to debate their lives for them. And so I think that if I had to take one everlasting thing, it's not so positive, but it is something that stuck with me, and it kind of makes me think about my life and how we're choosing to impact the community that's living with learning disabilities and on the autism spectrum. We're choosing to decide for them on their behalf, which is a little bit odd.
Definitely. And I think also you brought up a little bit about perspective as well and having um, remembering what your perspective is. So that's just something that came to mind when you were mentioning that. So we love to ask this question to everybody that comes on the show because we know that everybody has such unique experiences. But I am just curious, as someone who works at Camp Garagona and works with the community that you do, and
Sure.
the different experiences that you've had, what does accessibility mean to you?
Right. So here at Camp Garagona specifically, our clients are all of uh, different um, types of life, right? They're all different types of walks of life. And so accessibility here at Camp Garagona can mean various different things. We have folks that need an elevator, for instance, to get from floor to floor. And we have folks who might be overstimulated or need a quiet space. And so it's about bringing all of these things, having them always accessible for no matter what type of instance, right? We have a sensory room, which I'm in right now, and it's this big room that doesn't quite get used as often as it should. However, it's always available for people who are possibly in crisis, who need just like a 5 minutes of just sensory music and just relaxing, and it's a lot of feels and relaxing on. There's a big poof back there, the little white thing, and I think accessibility here at camp is just about inclusion and hoping and essentially making sure that everybody's needs are met properly and their needs are heard as well.
Definitely. I think that's such a great answer. And as you were saying that, I couldn't help but think also that it sounds like um, empathy, understanding, and flexibility as well goes hand in hand with being accessible. Because you may not know what one person, what a new camper, let's say, or someone who's new to the day services or something, what they might need in order for them to have an accessible space. But it sounds like um, because you're so in tune with making sure that everybody is able to be included and have access to all of the spaces, that also what comes with that is being flexible and empathetic and being able to provide that. So it's really amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Awesome. And what's one thing about the communities of people with disabilities that you wish people knew about?
Sure. So I think I interpreted this question in possibly a more negative sense. Uh, it's interesting, that question, because if we look at like a bigger problem in today, these questions are being asked to people like me, the neurotypical people, right? Whereas I don't think that I have the answers for people living on the autism spectrum, nor do I have the answers for people with learning disabilities. And so I actually took it upon myself to get one of my clients to
That's
answer that
amazing.
question
I
for
love
you.
that. I was actually going to say
So
we had one interview a few months ago, and it was the only time that we've ever had an organization ask if they could bring somebody who uses their services into the interview to answer these questions. So I love that you took
yeah,
initiative and did that. That's really amazing.
yeah, I would have definitely loved for some of our clients to be here, but there's a lot of politics behind their privacy and stuff, which is unfortunate. So one of my clients, we'll call him Jay. He answered that we're just as capable as anyone else. We may be slow, but we see the world different. The way that I see things is different than the way that normal people see things. There's not enough knowledge about it. The support isn't there.
I think that's very powerful. Definitely very powerful. Thank you so
He's a
much.
very powerful human being.
Yeah, amazing. And um, I'm curious. I'm gonna skip around on the questions. I know we sent them to you earlier,
That's fine.
but just given the work that you're currently doing, I this is something that I think that for individuals who um, don't have a disability, it's
Yep.
not something that's thought about until it's in your face. And so this is something that I talk about a lot on these interviews that, or just with my conversations with my partners, that there's a lot about the communities that I didn't know until I started working at accessiBe.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what you think some of the biggest gaps are for businesses, whether that being like e-commerce or even, businesses that you could walk in, on the street. What are the biggest gaps in prioritizing access and inclusion?
Sure. So I think that we talked a lot about inclusion,
Hmm.
and I think that if businesses of any kind were to just educate themselves about some of these issues that folks might be facing, I think about some people with autism that I work with. They'll walk into a grocery store that is playing music too loud, and it's like deafening. It's awful. It's an awful experience. And I think that doing your groceries is a human right. And if somebody is incapable of going to a grocery store because of something so small, something that can be adjusted with a small knob
Hmm.
that's manufactured in a big factory, it's very interesting, these small things that we don't think about. And there's plenty of small things in every business. Even here at Camp Garagona, we're never going to get it perfectly right because every individual is completely different. Um, and I think that the issue that we're facing right now is that we're proposing problems for the masses as opposed to for individual resolutions of folks' issues. It's not everybody's the same. There will continuously be problems, and it's about building things up with these types of folks living on the autism spectrum or living with a learning disability. You build that product or that business with them, and then you tear it down and build it up again, and you continuously do that until everybody has had their part and their say in how the business should be run or be accessible.
Definitely. And I think what's key in that also is that accessibility is a journey, it's not a destination.
Yeah,
That
exactly. Yeah, I think that's great.
a business who's playing music, maybe they've picked specific music for, I don't know, some like low sensory or something like that, but
Yep.
then they're
Yeah,
not taking into
exactly.
consideration the volume, which is huge.
Sure.
That's such a huge
Yeah,
thing,
it's huge.
So
Yeah.
the journey of accessibility doesn't stop at just the music selection with this specific example. It also is,
Right.
the volume and maybe the lights that, are
Yep.
with the music. There's so much that goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right.
Amazing. Well, Nicholas, thank you so much for joining us today. It really was such a pleasure speaking with you and learning more about Camp Garagona.
Of course.
We will definitely have all of the notes and links, in the show notes. But if anybody is curious to learn more, how would they get in touch with Camp Garagona?
Sure. And before I answer that question, I really want to say a big thank you to you, Sheldon, and Michael, who, you all do such incredible work. It's really something, Sheldon is the most persistent human being I think I've ever met in my life,
Yes.
or had the chance to communicate with.
Mhm.
I don't know how many people he went through to get in contact with me, but it was unbelievable, and I love that. And that's what we need. That's exactly the purpose. You guys, you interviewed Judith Human, who did exactly that. She went to that place, the place to protest, and they sat there, and it's hyper exaggerate, but we need that.
Mhm.
And so, sorry to go on a bit of a tangent, but to answer your question, we have a website, garagona.org, and by the graces of accessiBe, it's completely accessible to all walks of life. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, all that new Gen Z stuff. Um, and you can just follow our journey, and we have plenty of nice content. Our clients in the day service are part of all of it, and so they have a big say in what goes up and what doesn't. um, yeah, that's about it.
We'll definitely have all of that in the show notes, and
Awesome.
we definitely love Sheldon here too. He's we're on the same team, and he's one of a kind. They're,
He's unreal. Sheldon, if you're listening, oh my gosh, I'm in love.
amazing. Well, Nicholas, once again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Of course. Thank you so much.